Well, as you can see, I got my work cut out for me. This is my fall detail, which normally isn't this big a deal, but it's been a little over 3 years since I put my ceramic coating on this. And if you remember, I did the Adams ceramic coating, and well, I mean, it's not completely dead, but it's pretty well dead here. So we're going to be removing what's left of that, and then we're probably going to do, I'd say, about maybe a simple one-step polish. I don't know if you guys can see it well on the camera, but we got some love marks and some swirls and different stuff going on there. So we're going to experiment with a one-step. If we need to do a two-step, we will. And as you can see, I got some stone chips in there as well. We're not going to be addressing those this time. We're going to wait a few years for that. I only polish every few years, depending on what kind of coating I have on there. I got a new polisher I'm trying out that was on sale at Harbor Freight. That's the Forced Rotation Dual Action Hercules. There's no reason to spend $500 on a polisher for doing this yourself. I mean, it's just silly. If you're professional, it's a different story, but come on, we're working in the garage. Anyway, so this is going to start out with what we call a strip wash. This is my preference for the strip wash. This stuff is cheap. As you can see, it's got 3 different levels. If you go to that 9 ounces per gallon of water, that kicks the pH up to around, I think, a 13. Really works well for getting off old oils and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to do a strip wash with that. Then we're going to hit it with some iron remover. Well, we're going to try this stuff, but I've got some dedicated iron remover down here that we'll probably use. Just depends on what it looks like. You can see we got a ton of chemicals, a ton of stuff. We've got multiple pads. I drive a Subaru, and with a Subaru, you got to kind of be careful. Same thing with Honda and Toyota. Japanese cars have pretty soft clear coats. You can get a little crazy there and do a little too much and remove too much clear coat. So you got to remember, it's only about 1.5 to 2 mils thick. It's very thin. So with your German cars, most of your European cars, in fact, they have very hard clear coats. You can work on Mercedes for days and not really do any impact. There is an advantage to a softer clear coat. You can remove defects a lot quicker, but you can also remove more clear than you want. That's why we don't do this every year like some people do. That's just insane. We're also going to be doing a glass polish all the way around. Make sure we get rid of any kind of mineral deposits and stuff like that. So we're going to use those microfiber, I think they're microfiber, polishing pads for that, and our glass polish. And I got something going on here with my window louvers. Yeah, you can see it. See how ugly that is? So rather than just rip these off and start with new, I'm going to try some good old Meguiar's plastics. It's been around forever. We're going to see if that will help. We're going to put the polisher on that as well. Just see what happens. For our paint, we're going to start out with the Turtle Wax. This stuff is really good, this one and done. I love it. There's no dusting hardly at all. I mean, it just works beautifully for polishing. The nice thing about it is, unlike a lot of, like I think Chemical Guys has like 4 different polishes. I don't even know what they are. They don't even know what they are. They have so many products, it's ridiculous. But the Chemical Guys stuff dusts a lot. I mean, just a lot. The Meguiar's Ultimate Polish and Ultimate Compound are very good, but that's more for a 2-step. What makes the Hybrid Solution so good is that if you go with a cutting pad, that stuff cuts. And then you step up to a finishing pad and it finishes. I mean, it finishes all the way out to a pretty good jeweling finish if that's what you're looking for. I mean, it's gray, so I'm not going to spend too much time trying to jewel it. And of course, like any other modern car, you've got orange peel in the paint. Don't try to remove orange peel. You can't do that without getting down to the base coat layer, basically, and then you're going to have to re-clear it. Don't worry about orange peel. Unless you're driving a Ferrari or something like that, it's going to have orange peel. It's just nature of the beast, right? So don't worry about that. Just get out the minor blemishes and stuff. We're not going for perfection on a daily driver. We just want it to look good. So anyway, we're going to do our strip wash, and then we're going to clay bar it. I say clay bar, but we're actually using a clay mitt or a clay rag. These are great. If there's some really nasty stuff on there, I'll go with the old McQuire's clay, but I don't anticipate having to use that. Now, this cloth is from Griots, I don't know how to pronounce it. It comes in a kit with this stuff, which is really great lube for claying. However, as you can see, it says ceramic speed shine. So not only does it lube the pad, but it also leaves a layer of material. I don't want to leave any material. I'm removing all that material. So I want it down to bare paint, or bare clear. So instead of lubricating with that, we're going to be lubricating with O&R. This is Optima No Rinse. This is great stuff. The nice thing about this is 1 capful is an ounce. And you can wash your car with 1 capful and 2 gallons of water. For the lube, we're going to be putting 1 capful and 1 gallon of water, maybe 2 capfuls, just give it a little bit of extra. And so that's going to be our clay lube. And that stuff, like I said, is just fantastic. Now, once we're done with the initial wash, the strip wash, and then we are doing the iron remover and then the clay, so we've done our chemical and physical decontamination. There's one more step we've got to do before we start to polish, and that's to go in and do a very light mist of isopropyl alcohol. There it is over there in the corner. We're going to be diluting that 1-to-1 with distilled water. And we're going to spray that over the car, wipe it off with these little rags here. These are cheap. I picked these up at Walmart. I think they're like $6 for this whole box. And that's just to finish getting everything down to where we're ready to start polishing. Now, as we polish, we're going to, a lot of people just throw polish on their pad and go crazy, but it's actually better to start with a damp pad, right? Not a soaking wet pad, but a damp pad. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a bucket of water with some O&R in it. We're going to dunk our pads in there, our polishing pads, completely to get them nice and lubed before we ever start applying it to the car. That way, you know, water is lubrication, right? And a little bit of soap in there will help lubricate, which is what we want. So when we start polishing, we can go ahead and put the polish on our pad and go to town, and we don't have to worry about the pad being dry, right? Now, periodically, you have to clean that pad out. And they make these great pad cleaners that you can buy, but the cheap one is like $150. Again, if you're not doing this every day, there's no point in that. So you got a couple methods. One is you can take the pad off the machine and rinse it, squeeze it out, and everything like this. And you have to do this periodically because the pads will get clogged. The other solution, which is kind of what I'll be doing, is to take a fairly stiff brush like this. So as the pad gets clogged, we hit it with our air compressor a little bit. You don't want to damage the pad so you don't go crazy at 150 PSI. But just set your air compressor to 80 or 90 PSI, give it a couple quick blasts to knock the dry stuff off, and then use this brush, which again is dipped in your water, just to give it a little fluff, right, on the pad. And then put some more polish on and keep polishing. And that's all there is to it. You really, you know, unless you're getting a really high-powered rotary polisher, you're probably not going to damage your paint with an off-the-shelf polisher. So don't be afraid of this. It's a time-consuming process, but it's not rocket science, right? You just want the paint to look good, get rid of all those swirls and everything. Now, in addition to the big polisher, we have this kit, which hooks to a drill. So this is what I'll be using to get into those real small areas and some of the glass, you know, and some of the weird contours and stuff. And then we also have some green automotive masking tape. We'll be putting that along these plastic trims before we polish. The polish isn't going to hurt it, but it's a pain in the rear to clean out. So we're just going to do that just to keep the polish off of there. And in other places like this, you know, it has a tendency to leave residue. So we want to mask that off. Now, as we're polishing and as we're doing our process there, we'll want to keep that area clean. And that's where the distilled water comes in. So as we finish with a section or finish with a pass, we'll take our wipe with some distilled water, and that's how we'll clean it off, or we'll use an IPA if we need to. And there are other products out there you can use. This is Duplicolor Grease and Wax Remover. It's also called Body Prep. You can buy this at most auto parts store. I think this 1 quart bottle was $10 or so. And you have dilution. I don't know if it has it on there or not. Yeah, you can use it straight. I usually dilute it, I think 1-to-1, maybe even 2-to-1 with distilled water. Little goes a long way. So that one $10 bottle's, I bought that 3 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. So it lasts a while. So we'll be doing that. Now, when we're done polishing the whole car, then comes on to the final prep stage. Now, I'm not going with Adams this time. Their graphene coating was okay. I mean, I can't really complain about it, but it left a little bit to be desired. It was kind of a hassle to apply, for one. Uh, the other thing is, it didn't really, I would say, honestly, I should have recoated a year ago. So their 7-year coating is what they claimed, or 5 years, and I honestly got two, maybe 2.5 out of it. It's to be expected, So if I weren't a home detailer, just a regular Joe, then probably wouldn't have lasted that long. And for the money that it cost, I wasn't really pleased with that. The other thing is that the gloss on it just wasn't that great, right? So it was a good coating. It did its job, but we're moving on. So this year we're going with Geon. I have no idea how to pronounce that. This is a South Korean company. They make their own products. So this is the Evo Pure Q2, and it comes in a nice little kit. It's got your bottle in there, and your applicator and all that kind of stuff. Now this, I believe they rate that at I want to say 3 years, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if it says on the box or not. I can't remember. I want to say 3 years, maybe 4. I don't know. But they have other coatings as well that, have varying degrees of protection. I went with this one because this one is their highest gloss coating. So it's supposed to really make that paint pop, which is something you don't often get in ceramic coatings. It's just not always there. It's not what it's really for. But this one promises a lot of gloss, so we're going to check it out. It is, according to what I've read, kind of tacky to clear off, but it's okay. The other advantage to this is it's got a 10-minute dwell time, up to a 10-minute dwell time. So that gives me a lot of time to work with it. It makes life a lot easier. Also, this was less than half the cost of the Adams that I used before, so this is really economical. This is not a professional coating. They do make professional coatings. I don't have a climate-controlled garage. I'm not worried about 10 years of protection. So, look, you want a professional coating, go get a professional coating, but it's going to cost you. This is a glass coating, a ceramic glass coating we're going to try out. This was also pretty inexpensive, but I didn't read the details carefully enough because I assumed you buy a kit and it covers the whole car. But from what I've been reading, this is enough for the windshield and the 2 front windows, which leaves a lot of glass left unprotected. So I thought about just ordering another kit and doing the rest of it, but then I thought, why not try some other products? So we've got 2 products. We've got the Chemical Guys Hydro View. I think they said it up to a year of protection, which is Chemical Guys, so that's probably BS. But we're going to put this on one side of the car, on the rear windows, and then let's see here. That's not it. There it is. The other product we're going to try on the other side is the Turtle Wax Slit Glass ceramic coating. These are both fairly inexpensive. This is less expensive, and you get more in it, which is cool. So we're going to try this on one side, and we're going to try this on the other side, see which one works the better. And I think I've got maybe another product. I can't remember if I still have that or not. And if I do, we'll put that on the rear, but the rear is kind of a bad test for anything, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, we're going to do all that. We're going to do some coatings. We've got another product here. This is Cerakote. This, again, is an inexpensive coating. I'm very, I don't know if I trust anything that says long-lasting tire protection. Here's why I have problems with these tire coatings. Your tires flex and move and carry on, so I don't know how long that's going to last. Plus, they take, the brunt of the abuse as you're driving down the road. So it's cheap enough. I thought, well, we'll try it. We're going to see how it works out. We're also doing full-on interior. We're going to do a shampoo and all that kind of stuff on the inside, which it needs it. And we're going to add some protectant in there as well in the form of this. See how that works. The leather we're going to use, let's see, I think those are the same things basically. We've got some leather protectant as well. Oh, there it is right here. So this adds a slight layer of protection, but we'll just see how it does. Anyway, tons of chemicals, tons of work. This is probably a 2-day job. You can see I've got various brushes here. This is my leather brush, and you know, we've got some different stiffnesses for wheels and upholstery, all that kind of good jazz. So yeah, a lot of work ahead of me. I think I'm going to start on the strip wash, and of course you can't forget your bucket woolly worms, or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, a lot of people do the 2 bucket method. I do the 1 bucket method, and that's where I've got my bucket of sudsy water and a whole bunch of wash mitts. And as I do a section of the car, I put that wash mitt in the dirty bucket and I don't touch it again. So I'm always touching the panel with a clean wash mitt that doesn't have any chance of having any debris in it, because I'm not rinsing it out in a bucket. So that's the 1 bucket method. You can do it if you want. You know, you only need 2 or 3 pads for the whole car, and then they go in the wash, cold water, of course, with a little bit of microfiber cleaner, and you're good to go. So, yeah, oh man, there's going to be a lot of work. We'll see how it goes.